It is Mount Rushmore week. It is the Sixers Mount Rushmore. Let's do it.
It's the WIP Afternoon Show's Mount Rushmore week.
So this was voted on by you, the 76ers Mount Rushmore. We will be doing Eagles tomorrow. We will be doing Flyers on Friday, and we're doing them 30 past every hour. So the Sixers Mount Rushmore, as voted on by the 94 WIP listener. Spot number 1, Allen Iverson.
Okay. Is this an order?
This is in order of their
voting.
score.
I got you. Okay.
I'll do it in order of score. But on Mount Rushmore, everybody's equal. Once everybody's face is carved into the into the.
Got you. That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Second spot, Julius Erving.
Okay.
Third spot on the 76ers Mount Rushmore, Joel Embiid.
Wow, the process made it.
Embiid made it?
Yeah, and not only did he make it, he wasn't like last one in. Let's put it this way. He was hundreds of votes away from not making it. So it was pretty clear that Embiid is on there, as he should be.
Okay.
And here is actually...
I got to hear the rest of the guys before we...
Here's first spot, Allen Iverson. Second spot, Julius Erving. Third spot, Joel Embiid. Okay. Fourth spot on the WIP listener, Sixers Mount Rushmore, is Charles Barkley.
Chuck?
I was honestly stunned.
TNT helps.
Chuck?
I think he is well liked here. He was good here, obviously. Charles Barkley was very good, but had more success when he left here than being here. We could sort of compare that to Reggie in some way, and that Reggie White had more success after he left, but most people here still feel Reggie White is an Eagle. But Charles Barkley makes it in the Sixers Mount Rushmore. So as voted on by WIP listeners, Allen Iverson, Julius Erving, Joel Embiid, Charles Barkley. I don't think Barkley should be on there, to be quite honest with you. I think the other three are correct. So in my fourth spot, so I had Iverson, I had Embiid, I had Dr. J, and in my fourth spot, I have Moses Malone.
Moses?
So it came down to Moses or Wilt, and they both, essentially, their runs were the same. They both had 4 seasons here, both won a championship here. Wilt won more MVPs, but Moses did have one bonus Sixers season later on, so it put him one season ahead of Wilt. Count. And I saw Moses play, and I didn't see Wilt play. And I'm not sure that the 100-point thing happened. So overall, I have Allen Iverson, Joel Embiid, Julius Erving, Moses Malone is my 4.
Well, I got 3 of those 4. I got Dr. J, AI, and Joel Embiid in there. But there's no way you can do a Sixers Mount Rushmore without Wilt Chamberlain.
I think you
totally agree.
There's just no way you can do a Sixers Mount Rushmore without Wilt Chamberlain. Come on, man.
I think people combine the Warriors Wilt with the Sixers Wilt. They're two different organizations. We didn't put...
They both were in Philadelphia, though, weren't they?
But then they were in... But this is Sixers Mount Rushmore. It's not Philadelphia Mount Rushmore. We didn't put Connie Mack. We didn't put Connie Mack on the Phillies Mount Rushmore, even though the Warriors were here.
Why would we put Connie Mack on?
Well, because he was the Philadelphia A's.
I'm just saying, though. Who are we taking off, Schmidt?
No, but you know what I'm saying? We didn't even contemplate it. I just think the Philadelphia...
Wilt was a Sixer, though.
Yes, for 4 years. I would put Charles over Wilt, to be honest with you.
No.
I would not... Wilt was as much of a Laker as he was a Sixer. He was as much a Warrior as he was a Sixer. These other guys are Sixers. Allen Iverson, Sixer. Joel Embiid, Sixer. Dr. J, Sixer. Those are real Sixers. Wilt was on a bunch of different teams.
Well, that's not fair. Not his fault the team moved from here to somewhere else.
Still wouldn't be a Sixer.
But he's a Philadelphia Did they not cheer for the Philadelphia Warriors when they were here?
Well, they did, but it's not. It's the Sixers Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, I understand what you're technically saying, but you're discrediting him when he played for the city.
He did for 4 years.
No. He had Warriors 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Warriors. Okay. Yeah. Well, then maybe
plus Overbrook.
Then put him on with Steph Curry and Monte Ellis and whoever else we're putting on the Warriors Mount Rushmore. Baron Davis.
By the way,
he's not on the Sixers Mount Rushmore.
By the way, he won 3 MVPs as a Sixer.
Yes, he did.
3.
Yeah. Yes, and 1 championship.
Yeah, we get it. His teams weren't good enough, and he actually went against a stacked roster in the Boston Celtics.
Well, all the rosters were stacked back then. Let's be honest.
Except for the Sixers.
Well, the 67 Sixers roster was pretty good. It's not like they were...
They were 68-13.
Yeah, they were pretty good. So, what are we talking about here?
They were. How many Hall of Famers on that team?
Well, Dache is a Hall of Famer.
Okay, keep going.
Hal Greer?
Was Hal Greer on that team?
I think so.
Listen. We made that mistake with the Mount Rushmore yesterday and naming the presidents.
Andrew Jackson.
Yes. Yes, don't just start throwing names at me, saying that you think they were on the team. I don't know if those guys were on the team.
Yeah, Hal Greer was on the team.
Okay.
Billy Cunningham.
Okay.
Great player.
No.
Yes, Billy Cunningham was a great player. He was absolutely a great player. I'm just saying, if you want to put him on the Warriors, Mount Rushmore, go ahead. He's not going on the Sixers, Mount Rushmore. And the listeners agree. The listeners, by the way, had him, so they had him fifth. But
that's only because the older generation can't find the internet.
But significantly behind Charles Barkley and significantly behind Embiid,
You're
Julius.
telling me that Charles Barkley is a greater Sixer than Wilt Chamberlain.
I'm saying that Moses Malone is definitely a greater Sixer than Wilt
So you
Chamberlain.
agree that Charles Barkley is not?
I think the Charles one is probably a stretch.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Moses Malone coming here from another team, I don't know, played for I don't know how many other teams in his career, right?
Yep.
As this MVP guy.
Yep.
Helped win the championship.
Yep.
I got it.
Yep.
Love Mo.
Modern era, too.
Yeah.
Yep.
I get it. I
Yep.
saw his game.
1983.
There's nothing modern about Moses Malone's game.
It is a basketball player that I saw.
Sure.
Yes.
I got you. So basically, because you didn't see Wilt, that's why he's not on the Mount Rushmore.
No,
it's kind of like what I did with Lefty. I didn't see Lefty, so I didn't have him on the Mount Rushmore.
But I also think that people combine the Warriors thing with the Sixers thing too much. My opinion.
I just think he's a great Sixer. He may be the greatest basketball player to ever come from Philadelphia.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say of all time. Did he come from Philadelphia? Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, maybe.
Okay, well, yeah, and he played for the Sixers. That's another reason to be on the Mount Rushmore.
For 4 years.
All right.
Jack, do you have yours?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Dr. J.
Yeah.
Okay.
Begrudgingly. Wilt.
Yeah.
Allen Iverson.
Uh-oh.
And Moses Malone. When you're
So Embiid is not on it.
He's not on my Mount Rushmore.
Embiid is unquestionably on the Mount Rushmore.
When you look at this, when we look
Embiid is better than Wilt Chamberlain?
Embiid, as far as Sixers Mount Rushmore,
Yes.
Embiid drafted by the Sixers, has played twice as many seasons for the Sixers as Wilt
How many
Chamberlain did.
games?
Probably more than Wilt Chamberlain did.
Well, let's see. Really?
Yes.
He never played more than 60 games.
The most number of games Wilt Chamberlain played for the Sixers is like 300.
82.
Yeah, for 4 years. But Embiid has been a Sixer for 8 years.
By the way, 79, 81, 82, and 81.
Yeah, but total games.
Okay.
Joel Embiid has been here for a decade, has been an all-star every year but his rookie year, has won the MVP, has been runner-up for MVP twice, and by the way...
Well, Wilt won 3 MVPs.
Sure. And
not runner-up 3.
Yes, but was playing at a time when there was a lot less competition, that there wasn't the same amount of competition to win an MVP that Embiid is playing in. Embiid is playing in a much more talented league.
I love you. There's no way you can tell me you believe Joel Embiid is a greater Sixer than Wilt Chamberlain.
Of course he is.
Oh, my God.
Joel Embiid represents an
won a
entire
title.
era
But
of
no one
Sixers.
likes this era.
I love Joel.
That's
I
not
do.
true.
I love the process. I love Joel Embiid. He's not Wilt Chamberlain.
No, but he is a greater Sixer
No, he's
than
not.
Wilt Chamberlain. Of
No.
course he is. Of course he is. I honestly don't.
If he were to retire today, he's a greater Sixer than Wilt Chamberlain.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
Absolutely. He took his presence alone took this franchise from being completely meaningless. This franchise was meaningless for over a decade to being one of the most talked about franchises in the NBA. Every year you go into
talked about it in a positive way or in a laughing stock
Every
way?
year you go into a season, you have a chance at a championship because Joel Embiid is on the team.
We don't. No,
He's
we
gotten
don't.
better
No, we
every
don't.
single
and just
year.
because you say it don't make it true, nobody has felt that, but maybe once once since he's been here. Nobody has felt this team is a championship team. Nobody
before
has.
the season. That's not true.
Yes, before the season.
They are top 5 in championship odds every single
I'm talking about
year.
here in Philadelphia.
Every single
no
year.
way
Well,
we felt that way.
all the time.
You had a stinking Ben Simmons on this team you couldn't win with. You had a fat, out of shape, sloppy James Harden who's not dedicated to the game.
And who drugged those guys to being championship contenders every year?
They weren't
Joel
championship
Embiid.
contenders. You got to actually get to the damn conference finals to be a contender. How are you a contender just because you won a bunch? Were the Atlanta Hawks the year they were the number 1 team in the East a championship contending team?
Of course they were. Yes, of course they were.
The Atlanta Hawks with Kyle Korver and Al Horford.
Yes.
Jeff Teague.
Were they a contender? Absolutely,
hell no,
they were a
weren't.
contender.
That's why they got swept in the second round.
They weren't the favorite, but they were a contender.
They were not legitimate.
Absolutely a contender.
Nobody takes the regular season serious. So the records in the regular season are somewhat meaningless.
But that's not true.
They weren't a championship team. I watched LeBron take a bunch of ragamuffins from as a 6 seed or a 7 seed or whatever and race through the Eastern Conference with no problem when Atlanta had the number 1 seed.
Right, and he is probably the second greatest basketball
player
player
good player
who's
on the
ever
team,
lived.
though.
Right, and he is the second greatest basketball player who's ever lived.
But the number 1 seed can't beat a guy with a bunch of scrubs?
Yeah, you're telling me the regular season doesn't matter, which is just not true.
It does not matter.
It absolutely matters.
It doesn't.
Then go through history and you try to find the number of teams who
I'm
weren't
talking about
top 3
today.
seeds.
I'm talking about today's game.
Okay, and who's about to win the championship?
With load management and all this other stuff.
So this year, the team.
So one team. What about the number 1 team in the West?
They won the championship last year.
I'm talking about this year.
Yeah, this year they didn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're giving me the Celtics? Okay. Yeah. All right.
So the best team in the NBA is about to win the championship.
That's one team. I'm talking about all the other teams with the good records in the regular season. I can't believe you sit here arguing to me about the regular season being meaningful.
And last year,
the regular season is meaningless.
Last year, the Denver Nuggets were the best team in the NBA, and they won the championship. For years and years and years, the Warriors were the best team in the NBA, and they won the championship. The Miami Heat were the best team in the NBA. They won the championship twice.
So why didn't the Sixers win it?
Because they weren't good enough.
But they had the best record.
Yes, but his teammates were not good enough.
They had the best record.
No, I'm not saying every time it's the best record.
Why didn't they win it?
I'm not saying that every time the team with the best record.
But you're picking out the one teams who did win it.
Because you're saying the regular season doesn't matter.
It is meaningless.
It is not meaningless.
No, sure it is.
No, it is absolutely not meaningless. There are more examples of the regular season having meaning in the NBA than not having meaning in the NBA.
It's meaningless.
And that's the truth.
The regular season is meaningless.
It's not hockey. The regular season is meaningless in hockey. The regular season is sort of meaningless in baseball. It is absolutely not meaningless in the NBA.
I disagree.
And to say that Joel Embiid is not one of the 4 best Sixers of all time is crazy.
It's ridiculous to even think to say he's better than Wilt Chamberlain. He's a greater Sixer than Wilt Chamberlain.
And I'll tell you what, he will end up past Iverson because he's a better player than Iverson, and he'll end up past Julius Erving as well.
Past him how and what?
In terms of being greatest Sixer. He
Based
absolutely
on what,
will. Because his career will be better. He will. So
he's going to go to the finals?
Hopefully, yeah.
Well, but what if he doesn't?
Okay, if he doesn't, then we'll talk about it. But I would bet.
Hold on, we can't talk about it. If he doesn't go to the finals, how is his career better than those guys?
Well, I don't know.
One guy won a championship.
I will bet on him going to the finals.
Well, I'm asking you if he doesn't because in 20 years they haven't gotten to the Eastern Conference Finals, so it's more likely they won't get to the NBA Finals in his time here.
Well,
which, by the way, is short. In the next 3 years, he probably won't be here.
Well, everyone keeps saying it's short, but every year he just keeps coming back and being a top 2 MVP candidate.
And every year they went home in the first round this year.
Every year it's like, well, when is he gonna? He's gonna retire. He's gonna lose it, and every year he's better. Literally, every single year he's better than he was the year before.
Is the team better?
Every year. What's that?
Is the team better?
Well, the team has been better. Yes, the team when he's played, the team has been better. The team was on like a 65-win pace when he played last year.
I don't care about any of that. They're always on a great pace. And they won 60 games. And they still went home to a 6-foot guard in Trae Young and John Collins.
Okay.
With a stacked roster.
Okay, so wait a minute. So it's a stacked roster, but you're telling me that anyone playing with Ben Simmons can't win a championship, but it's a stacked roster. Was
that not a stacked roster?
No, you're just telling me he was playing with a point guard who could not get to the championship with. So no, not a stacked roster. That roster, wait a minute. They started in that season, the Hawks season. We're not talking about the Raptors season.
Yeah.
We're talking about Tobias Harris stinks, Ben Simmons
He didn't stink that year.
What's that?
Tobias Harris didn't stink that year.
Sure, he did.
No, he didn't.
He has been a weight on
let's
the
not turn
ankle
this
of
into
the
a Tobias
franchise.
Harris argument.
You asked me who was on the team. That is not a stacked roster. The Sixers team that played the Atlanta Hawks was not a stacked roster, and in fact, Embiid
was it a better roster than the Hawks?
I don't know.
Was it the best roster in the Eastern Conference?
I don't think so. No. You just told me.
Oh my God,
you
dude.
just told me that they cannot win a championship with Ben Simmons. So how is the roster stacked if it has Ben Simmons on?
Because he wasn't the only person on the team.
Yeah, he was the person who brought the ball up every single play.
So
he was
what?
the person. Well, you can't.
So what? You got Joel Embiid, somebody that's greater than Wilt Chamberlain.
So you tell me.
What?
I didn't say he was greater than Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah, you did.
No, I said he's a better Sixer than Wilt Chamberlain. I didn't say he's a greater player than Wilt Chamberlain. He's a better Sixer than Wilt Chamberlain. Of course he is.
So if I'm looking at Wilt Chamberlain's numbers as a Sixer, then what are you going to tell me?
He only played here 4
Right,
years.
then we're going to go to he only played here
Well,
4
he did.
years.
He was only a Sixer for 4 years.
Right. And somehow Embiid has been better than him.
He is a better Sixer than Wilt Chamberlain is.
You doing semantics here? Is that
It's
what you're
not
trying to
semantics.
do?
That's what it
That
is.
you trying to do semantics
No,
here?
the real Mount Rushmore doesn't have like inventors on it. It doesn't have senators on it. It has
Oh, my
presidents
God.
on it.
Yes. What does that got to do with anything?
Because I'm telling you that it is a Mount Rushmore of Philadelphia 76ers. It's not a Mount
I don't
Rushmore
care about
of
any
people
of that.
who are
I'm
from
telling you,
Philly.
and I don't care about that.
Okay.
I don't care about that. You needed more information, so I gave you more information. It's pretty simple to me that Wilt Chamberlain is one of the greatest Sixers of all time.
Okay.
That's pretty obvious to me.
He is definitely.
That's pretty obvious to me. And telling me that Joel Embiid somehow has been greater than Wilt Chamberlain as a Sixer, you're nuts.
He is.
Because he won one MVP?
He is more representative of the Sixers
God,
than
he's
Wilt Chamberlain is. He is.
He wasn't a greater player than Wilt Chamberlain. He's won one MVP.
I didn't say he was
that
a
he had
greater-
to cry and bitch and moan about to get.
Okay, right. So he did cry, but he was runner-up the year before. He
I
was
don't
runner-up
care,
the year before
yeah,
that,
and
and
he
then
bitched
this
and
year,
moaned about it.
and this year, if he played 65 games,
And he bitched and moaned about it, and
he
then
would-
didn't show up in
and
the
he would've-
playoffs.
he
And then
would've-
didn't show up in the playoffs.
And then he would have won MVP this year. And by the way, Wilt failed in the playoffs a number of times, was owned by Bill Russell, only won 2 championships.
Bill Russell, yeah.
And by the way,
that's better than getting owned by Trae Young.
And by the way, the second
Yeah, I
championship
get
he
owned by
won.
Bill Russell
the second
and
championship.
John Havlicek.
Wilt was so great. The second championship he won. He wasn't even the best player on the team. It was late in his career with the Lakers. So
I didn't bring up the Lakers.
So
and when Joel gets his trophy with the Spurs in 5 years, been backing up Wembyambi, then you'll say he won a title.
Okay, that's fine. I'm telling you, as a Sixer, Joel Embiid has played twice as much, was drafted by the team, was the best player on the team for a decade. He's obviously higher on that
not
list
on a
than
Mount
Wilt.
Rushmore.
Sure he is. He's on yours. You put him on yours.
He's off it now for sure.
Bullied again. I just bullied him to take Joel off.
I knew this basketball show was going to go off the rails, man.
Okay. Well, the good thing is we have Larry
LA's next, yeah.
Larry Anderson next.
Who are his Mount Rushmore Sixers?
Should we start with that with LA?
Only Spike, boy, I tell you.
So Larry Anderson is next. I want to talk to Larry about the difference between going from the primary catcher to the second catcher, because that, it's not just for Wheeler, it's every pitcher they have. So, and of course, LA was a pitcher. So we will talk about that next with Larry Anderson on the WIP Afternoon Show with Ike, Spike, and Fritz.
All right, deep breath.